Welcome back from On Top of the Wall. My name is Mason, your favorite Mason, by the way. And don't you forget it, we are playing Pauper again today. We're getting spiky. We're playing a deck called Furiously Delayed. And it is all about Suspend. It's built around Suspend. We are a tempo deck that seeks to use our tempo gains to stabilize the board and delay the board state of our opponents early in the game until we can get a few turns deeper in and allow some of our larger Suspend creatures to come off of Suspend, be cast, immediately have haste, start attacking our opponent, put our opponent's life total down to the point where lightning bolts start becoming 1 mana, I kill a target opponent spell. Let's get right into the deck today and I'll show you what I mean. Let's start with our big Suspend creatures that give us combat advantage and that we're looking to play early in the game as suspended and then have them drop around turn 4 and turn 5. A playset of Errant Ephemeron? That's good. Ephemeron, yeah, let's not even try for that. Infiltrator Ilkor and Keldon Halberdier. All of them are playsets and 4-ofs. They're good creatures. A lot of them give us an immediately good board state and put us in a winning position as soon as they come down. These creatures normally outclass most of what our opponents are doing. Most opponents don't play creatures that quite add up to these things' sizes, aside from Gurmag Anglers and Wall of Omens. To help support these creatures and to help give us an early board state and stabilize up until we get to them, we are playing several other creatures. We are playing 4 Rift Elementals, 2 Rhinewind Task Mazes, and 3 Pestermites. The Rift Elemental is there because of its threat of activation and gives us actually the ability to use some of those the time counters on the Suspend cards as a resource. It gives us the ability to have threat of activation, forcing our opponent to maybe throw their larger creature in front of this 1/1 while it's attacking and giving us the ability to pump it, make it large, trade our creature for their creature, while Rhinewind Taskmage can tap down and mess with our opponent's stuff regardless of how big it is. Even if they find a way to play a Gurmag Angler or their large, giant Eldrazi creature or something like that, we can tap it down, get it out of the way, make sure it never gets a chance to hurt us or interact with our creatures while allowing our creatures to keep coming through, unblocked sometimes, or keep them from attacking us. Pestermite is similar in that sense. Really, because of its flash ability, it almost has haste because of that, because we play it on our opponent's turn, and when we get back to our turn, on our untap step, it's already there, so it can attack that turn. Really, Pestermite is kind of this all-star across a lot of different formats. You've seen it in its own standard, its modern, and now Pauper. Wherever fairies are present, or tempo is present, Pestermite seems to show up on the list somewhere. So the spells to go with our creatures to help us stabilize, the ones that we're playing for removal, and to gain that a little bit of mana advantage, to maybe have that 1 extra mana that we have left over from suspending our creatures 1 turn and turning that into a way to disrupt our opponent. The spells that we're using to keep them from establishing a proper board state until we can get our creatures down that outclass anything that they're doing anyway. We have 4 Rift Bolt, we have 1 Lightning Bolt, and 4 Scred. The reason for the 4 Rift Bolts versus the 1 Lightning Bolt is because of Rift Elemental, and typically by the time that we're getting to the point where we want to just start chucking these things at our opponent's face later in the game when they're close to low life and where almost anything can start to kill them. Paying 3 mana for this isn't really that bad main phase, and I really wanted to always constantly have the ability to have threat of activation for Rift Elemental. 1 Lightning Bolt, obviously all-star, and 4 Scred. We are playing snow lands in this deck to help with the Rime Mage, help pick off the Gurmag Angler. I just wanted to always have an out for 5 toughness creatures. The 3 Spell Pierce is just similar to a 4 Spike, but a little bit better and only for non-creature spells. So if they're waiting for our creature to come off Suspend with a counter spell, they have to have had left up almost all of their mana for the Spell Pierce. And we always can side out the Spell Pierce for some of our sideboard cards in game 2 after they know that it's there. Now there's this 1 card in the deck that is very unique and interesting. It is a charm, and all the charms are pretty unique and interesting because of the 3 modes that they give you. We're playing 3 Fury charms. 1 in a red for an instant, give target creature trample and +1/+1, destroy target artifact, or remove 2 time counters from target permanent or suspended card. The modes on this all of them are relatively good. The fringe benefit of having main deck artifact removal does make a lot of sense to me. I like having main deck hate cards. Just up against Affinity, you just automatically have a Doomblade / Strip Mine in the deck to go with that, while the +1/+1 and Trample give that added evasion, can sometimes help us get through a harsh combat. And finally, the removing 2 time counters also has fringe benefit with Riftwing, not only just removing some of the suspend counters from our creatures, bringing them down earlier, and surprising our opponent. The ability to just pick off Aven Riftwings and certain vanishing creatures makes a lot of sense to me. But it's not good enough to have a 4 of in the deck, because when you have 2 of them, or when you get too many in one game, it can end up being an unusable card, or something that's very difficult to find time to play. For pseudo card advantage, we have 3 Ponders and 1 Brainstorm. We do have a lot of shuffle effects in this deck, so pairing up Ponders and Brainstorms and having 1 Brainstorm instead of a total of 4 Ponders made more sense to me. Now for our mana base. The mana base consists of 7 snow-covered islands, 7 snow-covered mountains, 4 Evolving Wilds, and 1 Ash Barrens. The Ash Barrens and the Evolving Wilds are there for the shuffle effects, and because they always get a snow-covered land of some kind. Now for our sideboard. Our sideboard is meant to swap out some of our removal with some of the removal in our sideboard, so we can get better interaction with our opponent. We're playing 2 Electrickery to help fight against elves and tokens, 1 Akiro Stealth Suit to help fight against late game decks, things like blue-black control, some decks that are throwing around Scred, some decks that are throwing around Journey to Nowhere. Just being able to whip this around is very powerful. It almost gives all of our creatures Shroud. 4 Reality Acids as just a really good catch-all removal that gives us the ability to have threat of activations for Rift Elemental. 1 Relic of Progenitus to hate on graveyards, 4 Pyroblast, and 3 Hydroblast. I believe that blue is more powerful than red in this format. Typically you're going to see more times where having a red counterspell up and available to you is a little bit better than having something that can fight against red, but they're still very, very, very good, both of them. Suspend in general, you are investing for the late game. You're investing for several turns ahead usually, and I did have to build around that and consider that heavily. I was originally going for more of this aggressive deck that tried to just immediately try to use all the synergy that it could to remove time counters with Joyler's Rift Bug or whatever, and try to put these things into play early and surprise the opponent. But it just wasn't working out. The value wasn't there. It wasn't good enough. None of the creatures had a high enough payoff. So that's why the deck ended up turning into this, well, the creatures are big and they outclass things, and we naturally let them come off suspend a lot while we're just messing with our opponent and playing a game with them and slowing them down. Then when our big 4/4 flyer or our 4/1 first striker, the ultimate piker, comes off the stack and just just looks at our opponent like, no, no more attacks, no more blocks, just combat just stops. I hope you guys enjoy this deck, and I hope you guys enjoy smashing your opponents with this thing. It's just really a surprise, and it kind of gives you a different feel for Magic, and really is a different kind of play style to play this tempo game very early, and then suddenly play this beat down plan. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like me on Facebook, like this video, subscribe, follow me on Twitter. We're gonna have more contests coming up, and I can't wait to actually give away another deck and try to have like another contest going. Hopefully this time I get more people playing and more people interested. That's all for now. Coming in for that face touch.